What if the most important moment of your life isn't a big event, but the exact second you wake up tomorrow? That single breath before your feet touch the floor, that quiet heartbeat before the noise of the world begins. What if everything changes in that moment, not because the world shifts, but because you do? You open your eyes and without thinking, the same thoughts from yesterday rush in. The stress, the doubt, the rush, the unfinished goals. The voice in your head starts before you even move, telling you what you are, what you're not, what might go wrong. And without realizing it, you slip into survival mode. You react, you respond. You obey those thoughts like they own you. But what if they don't? This is where your real power begins. Not when everything is perfect, not when you feel ready, but in that tiny, quiet second, when you get to choose your first thought, when you decide who you will be before the world decides for you. That's the secret most people never realize. Your first thought is a compass, and if you don't set it with intention, it will set you. So here's the truth. Every morning, you are given a reset. A blank page, not a perfect page, but a powerful one. A moment to lead your mind instead of following it. Because your mind, left on autopilot, will serve you yesterday. But your spirit, your vision, they live in today, and they need you to wake up with purpose. This is where everything starts. Not with a to-do list, not with your phone, but with a whisper to yourself, a truth, a sentence, a declaration, something stronger than fear, something clearer than noise, a statement that says, I am here, I am capable, I am becoming. The greatest mistake you can make is waiting to feel motivated before you act. But what if the opposite is true? What if acting with intention creates the very motivation you're missing? What if simply choosing to tell yourself something powerful first thing in the morning could redirect your entire day? This is why the first thought matters, because it becomes the second, and the third, and soon it becomes momentum, energy, identity. You don't need to believe it fully yet, you just need to say it. Let it plant itself, let it grow, because the words you speak to yourself are not just sounds, they are seeds. And if you plant the right ones early, you will rise. Stay with this, don't turn back. Because what you're about to learn is more than a list. It's a daily armor, a soul alignment, a recalibration of who you are and what you stand for. One truth at a time, one choice at a time. Starting tomorrow, starting now, you lead. Not your thoughts, not the noise. You. The reason most people stay stuck is not because they're weak. It's because they never challenge the voice that runs their life. That voice doesn't shout. It whispers, and those whispers are made of old memories, past failures, fears you didn't choose, beliefs you didn't build. You inherited them, absorbed them, repeated them until they felt like truth. But they're not. They're just patterns, and patterns can be rewritten. This is where your words come in, not as fluff, not as fake positivity, but as anchors, as weapons, as reminders of who you are when everything feels heavy. Because let's be honest, life gets heavy. And when it does, the mind tries to protect you with doubt. It tells you to shrink, to hesitate, to hide. But protection isn't always power. Sometimes it's just another cage. You have to speak to yourself like someone who matters, like someone who's worth fighting for. Because you are. You don't need permission to believe that. You need practice. You need repetition. You need a new standard for the kind of language you allow in your own mind. This is why what you tell yourself every single day matters more than anyone else's opinion of you. The world can call you a failure, but if your voice calls you capable, you win. The world can doubt you, ignore you, leave you, but if your voice says I'm still here, you rise. There is a quiet kind of strength that comes from telling yourself the truth, especially when it's hard to believe. Not the easy truth, not the shallow kind. The deep soul-level truths that remind you you are not your mistakes, you are not your pain, you are not your past, you are potential, you are process, you are becoming. And becoming takes work, becoming takes words. The right ones. Not just said when you feel good, but especially when you don't. Because the mind listens. It records. It memorizes. And when you speak strength, it learns strength. When you speak fear, it obeys fear. So speak with intention. Say what you want to grow. Don't wait until you believe it. Say it until you become it. That's where this begins, with a commitment to yourself, not once, but daily, not when it's easy, but when it's necessary. This is your foundation. Because every time you choose a powerful thought over a passive one, you take the wheel. You take your life off autopilot, and you return to the truth. You are not here to react. You are here to create. Keep going. Because what you're building isn't just a better day. It's a better you. A version of yourself that's aligned, awake, and aware. The version that doesn't wait for life to change, but decides to lead it. Every thought, every choice, every word. This is your moment to shift from default to design, and it starts right here, with what you tell yourself next. You are not your thoughts. Let that sink in. You are the one hearing them, not the one being them. This is the line between freedom and captivity, between living on purpose and living on repeat. Most people never question the noise inside their head. They hear fear and think it's reality. They hear doubt and call it wisdom. But you're waking up. You're learning to observe the voice, not obey it. The mind loves certainty, even when that certainty is misery. It would rather cling to the familiar lie than embrace an unfamiliar truth. That's why breaking mental patterns feels like war. It is war. And your greatest weapon is awareness. The ability to pause, to separate, to say that thought is not me, that fear is not fact, that voice is not the truth unless I give it permission to be. You've carried thoughts that never belonged to you, inherited beliefs, silent fears, old judgments that echo through time, and somewhere along the way they started sounding like you. But they're not. They're just habits, and like any habit, they can be broken, they can be replaced, they can be rewritten. You are not the story you were told, you are the author now. This is how transformation begins, not with the world changing, but with your relationship to your own thoughts. When you understand that you are the observer, not the voice, you take your power back. You stop trying to fight every negative thought, and instead you learn to let them pass, like clouds, like background noise. You don't wrestle every shadow, you simply stop mistaking it for yourself. Freedom isn't found in having perfect thoughts, it's found in refusing to be ruled by them. Even the strongest minds feel fear, even the most grounded people hear doubt. The difference is, they don't bow to it, they don't give it the steering wheel, they hear the noise, and they choose anyway. They act anyway. They speak truth anyway. This is where your strength lives, not in silencing the storm, but in standing in it and saying, I am not this. When your mind says you're not enough, respond with action. When your thoughts say you're falling behind, anchor in the present. When the voice says give up, remind yourself that you decide what comes next. This is the turning point, the realization that you don't need to fix every thought. You just need to stop feeding the ones that destroy you. Stop rehearsing pain. Stop believing everything you think. Start creating space. Start creating truth. Start telling your mind how it will serve you, not the other way around. You're not broken. You're just buried under layers of noise, patterns, and pressure. But beneath all of it, there's clarity, there's power, there's you, and every time you choose awareness over reaction, truth over noise, clarity over chaos, you rise, you reclaim, you return. Keep speaking what you want. Keep listening for the voice beneath the noise. That's the real you. There is a version of you that doesn't flinch at pressure, a version that doesn't chase approval, doesn't second-guess every move, doesn't collapse under the weight of fear. That version exists. It's not a fantasy, it's a choice, one you make every day by the way you speak to yourself. Because before confidence is felt, it is spoken. Before strength is visible, it is declared. The words you choose shape the path you walk, and when you change your words, you change your world. You can't build a powerful life with powerless language. If you keep telling yourself you're tired, you'll stay tired. If you keep repeating that you're stuck, you'll stay stuck. Your brain believes repetition. It memorizes emotion. It responds to rhythm. This is why you must feed it fuel, not fear. Say what you want to feel, not just what you're afraid of. Speak the reality you're becoming, not the pain you've been living. When you say, I can handle this, you activate resilience. When you say, I'm growing, you break the illusion of failure. When you say, I am enough, you cut through the endless noise that keeps you chasing worth. These are not empty affirmations. They are rewiring. They are intention. They are design. You are not lying to yourself. You are leading yourself. Because if you don't, who will? Every day, the world throws distractions at your mind. Doubts, fears, expectations. And if you don't have an inner voice strong enough to counter them, you'll absorb them. You'll start thinking they're yours. That's why your words matter. That's why your daily mental dialogue isn't just background noise. It's your internal operating system. And just like any system, it needs updates, upgrades, precision. Don't wait until you feel ready to speak powerfully. Speak powerfully until you feel ready. Speak like your life depends on it, because it does. Your mental health, your peace, your focus, your courage. They all rise or fall based on the quality of your self-talk. This is deeper than motivation. This is identity. You've repeated weakness long enough. You've memorized fear long enough. Now it's time to create a new pattern. One of power, one of alignment, one that speaks directly to the future you're building. Say it, even if your voice shakes. Say it, even when your body doubts. Say it, until the words feel like home. This is your reset. This is your rebuild. Not loud, not flashy, but deliberate. You don't need to convince the world. You need to convince you. You need to remind yourself, day after day, that you're not here to survive. You're here to thrive. No more shrinking. No more waiting. No more repeating what broke you from this moment forward. Let every word you speak to yourself be a reflection of your highest self. No more rehearsing limits. Speak your future. Shape your present. Strengthen your foundation. Your voice is not just a reflection of who you are. It's a weapon. Use it. You were never meant to stay small. You were never meant to live inside a cage built from other people's opinions, your own past, or the fear of failure. You were built to expand, to stretch, to rise. And yet so often, you whisper limitations to yourself like they're facts. You convince yourself to hesitate. You justify playing it safe, but deep down you know. You know there's more in you. And it's not going to come out through luck or comfort. It's going to come out through conscious direction. Through the discipline of what you say to yourself when no one else is listening. Your inner language shapes your outer results. If you want to change what you experience, you have to change what you expect. And expectations are built sentence by sentence, from what you rehearse mentally. If you keep saying I'm not ready, you'll never move. If you keep telling yourself it's too late, you'll never begin. But when you choose different words, words that stretch you instead of shrink you, everything changes. Say, I was made for more, and feel how your body shifts. Say, I can figure this out, and feel how your mind opens. Say, I am not finished, and feel how hope returns. Your nervous system listens. Your habits align. Your energy follows the direction of your focus. And focus is led by language. This is why your words are not decoration. They are construction. You are building something every time you speak. You're either building a foundation for freedom or a cage for fear. You're either reinforcing your potential or repeating your past. And the most dangerous thing you can do is to let your words run on autopilot. Because autopilot speaks in the voice of your old self. And your old self doesn't know where you're going. It only knows where you've been. This is where the shift happens. When you stop speaking from memory and start speaking from vision, not based on how things are, but on how they can be. That's leadership. That's power. That's ownership. You are not just reacting to life. You are creating it, one internal sentence at a time. So speak like it matters, because it does. Your future self is listening, the one who's already overcome, already leveled up, already living with clarity and courage. And that version of you is waiting for you to stop feeding doubt and start feeding direction. You don't need louder motivation. You need cleaner focus, and that starts with the words you allow. Let this be the day you stop cursing your life with quiet, careless language. Stop underestimating what one honest, powerful thought can do. Speak as if your life depends on it, because it does. The person you're becoming is built on the back of every sentence you choose. Choose strength, choose truth, choose forward. Say what aligns with who you're becoming, until it becomes who you are. If you want to live differently, you have to speak differently. Every time you open your mouth, even silently in your mind, you're setting the tone for your reality. That's not exaggeration, that's alignment. You either repeat the story that keeps you limited, or you tell the story that pulls you forward. Most people never shift because they're addicted to telling the version of their life that explains their fear. But you're not here to explain fear, you're here to rise above it. You can't keep saying, this is just the way I am, and expect to change. You can't keep telling yourself, I always mess up, and expect to succeed. The words feel small, but their impact is massive. Every limiting sentence you repeat to yourself is a quiet agreement to stay where you are. It doesn't matter how bad you want to grow. If your internal script contradicts your external goals, your mind will follow what it hears most. That's how the subconscious works. It listens, it records, and then it obeys. So shift it. Interrupt the pattern. Speak what aligns with your vision, not your limitation. Say, I'm learning. Say, I'm becoming. Say, I'm showing up, even if I don't have it all figured out. You don't need perfection, you need progression. And progression starts with permission. The permission to speak differently, even if it feels unfamiliar at first. Don't wait for your circumstances to validate your new beliefs. Speak them into existence. Say, I am strong, not because you feel it now, but because you're choosing it. Say, I can change, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. You are the environment your mind lives in. You are the voice your spirit hears most. And if that voice is weak, critical, or doubtful, everything you try to build will be built on sand. But when that voice is rooted in strength, when it's clear, intentional, and grounded in truth, everything shifts. You think differently. You act differently. You carry yourself like someone who belongs in the room, even if no one claps for you yet. That's the power of internal language. It creates posture. It builds presence. It invites purpose. Start speaking from who you want to be, not who you've been. Not because you're denying your past, but because you're done being defined by it. You've spent enough time shrinking your voice to fit the moment. Now it's time to let your voice shape the moment. Speak life. Speak clarity. Speak power. You don't rise by accident. You rise by design. And design begins in the silence, in the spaces no one sees, where your thoughts become words and your words become beliefs. Build from there. Build with discipline. Build with courage. Build with the kind of language that tells your future, I'm ready. Because when your words align with your purpose, nothing can pull you back. Speak like your life is listening, because it is. You don't have to believe every thought that enters your mind, but you do have to choose which ones stay. The thoughts you hold on to shape your identity, your confidence, your courage. If you keep holding on to thoughts that drain you, they will direct your life without your permission. But when you begin to question them, when you begin to separate truth from emotion, everything starts to shift. You are not weak for having doubts. You are powerful for noticing them. You are powerful for choosing differently. Your mind is always listening, always learning from what you repeat. So when you say, "This is too much," your brain searches for reasons to make it feel heavier. When you say, "I've got this," your brain starts seeking solutions instead of problems. You are training your own focus with every internal sentence you allow to stay. This is why discipline in thought is not optional, it's essential. Not because you'll always feel strong, but because strength is built in the moments you choose to redirect your mind, rather than collapse into it. Most people think power comes from force, from loud confidence, from perfection. But true inner power comes from clarity. It comes from the calm, deliberate choice to stand in truth even when fear knocks. It's built in the repetition of courage, the language of growth, the quiet refusal to speak in ways that shrink your soul. That is what changes you, not overnight, but over time. Not in dramatic declarations, but in consistent, steady alignment. You can be the kind of person who walks into the storm with peace, not because you love chaos, but because you've trained your mind to hold on to what is unshakable. And what's unshakable isn't found in outside validation or flawless performance. It's found in the way you speak to yourself when no one else is around, when no one's clapping, when everything feels uncertain. That's where the foundation is either built or broken. And here's the truth: you are not fragile. You are not powerless. You are not stuck. You are becoming. Every second you choose words that support your future, you are rewiring the way you see yourself. Every moment you resist the urge to speak defeat, you are rising into someone stronger. That's growth. That's transformation. That's how you take back your life. Not through chance, but through choice. Start each day with words that lift you. Say them with intention. Say them even when doubt lingers. Because when you speak with clarity, consistency, and conviction, your body begins to respond. Your energy changes, your mind aligns, and momentum builds. You won't always feel ready. You won't always feel brave, but you can always choose to speak like someone who is. That's how you lead yourself forward. One thought, one phrase, one decision at a time. Speak power, speak progress, speak purpose. Your life is following your language. Choose wisely. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not the version of yourself that gave up, doubted, or broke down. That version was real, but it was never final. Every day, you are given the chance to step into a new identity, not by force, but by choice. And the first step is deciding what you no longer want to carry. You don't have to keep dragging the same narratives forward. You don't have to let yesterday define what's possible today. The moment you release the weight of who you used to be, you free yourself to become who you were always meant to be. Your transformation begins in silence, in those unseen moments where you look yourself in the eye and say, "I'm not staying here." You don't need permission to grow. You don't need applause to evolve. You only need the courage to stop repeating what no longer serves you. Stop calling yourself names rooted in regret. Stop labeling yourself based on wounds. You are not broken. You are rebuilding. You are not lost. You are rerouting. You are not weak. You are learning to rise. Growth is not loud. It's not always visible. It's found in the quiet, disciplined decision to show up for yourself when no one else understands your process. And in those moments, your words matter more than ever. Say, "I am healing." Say, I am shifting. Say, I'm not who I used to be. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer agreeing with defeat. The voice in your head can either be your greatest enemy or your most loyal ally. Train it, direct it, own it. When you speak with intention, you interrupt the cycle. You stop feeding the lies that say you're not enough. You stop reinforcing the fear that wants you small. And you begin building new patterns. Patterns that align with your future instead of your failures. Your identity is not fixed. It is formed. And it's being shaped every time you decide what to believe, what to reject, and what to reinforce with your words. You will stumble. You will face resistance. That's part of the process. But stumbling doesn't mean stopping. Falling doesn't mean failure. It's just part of becoming someone stronger, someone wiser, someone unstoppable. And in those moments, you don't need more motivation. You need a mindset that refuses to settle. Speak that mindset into existence. Speak to your resilience. Speak to your next level. This is your turning point, not because circumstances changed, but because you did. You stopped echoing the language of defeat. You started choosing the voice of strength. You began saying what needed to be said, not to impress anyone, but to empower yourself. Keep saying it, keep becoming, keep rising. The future is waiting on the sound of your next decision. Make it count. Speak like everything depends on it, because it does. You don't have to feel ready to begin. You just have to begin. Waiting for the perfect moment only builds hesitation, but action builds belief. One step, one shift, one word spoken with courage has more power than 1,000 thoughts wrapped in fear. This is how change happens, not when you feel invincible, but when you act in spite of your uncertainty. Confidence is not the starting line. It's the reward that comes from movement. And you are always one decision away from rewriting the entire direction of your life. There will be resistance. Your old habits will whisper. Your comfort zone will cling, but your future will call louder if you listen. That voice inside that says, "There's more for me," isn't your imagination, it's your invitation. You weren't built to settle. You weren't built to repeat days that feel hollow. You were built to evolve, to expand, to step into deeper meaning. And that begins the moment you stop asking for permission and start showing up like you belong in the life you desire. You don't need to have it all figured out. Clarity grows with movement. You start where you are, and as you move forward, the path reveals itself. But if you stay stuck in your mind, if you keep questioning your worth and rehearsing your fears, you'll miss the momentum that's already trying to build. The truth is, most people don't fail because they weren't capable. They fail because they hesitated too long. They overthought, overanalyzed, and silenced their own fire before it had a chance to burn. Stop waiting for certainty. Start trusting your ability to figure it out as you go. Say, I am capable. Say, I adapt. Say, I move even when I'm unsure. Your identity isn't shaped in comfort, it's shaped in motion. You grow by doing, not by doubting. And the more you do, the more you believe. You begin to build a new mental blueprint, one that says, I am the kind of person who takes action. That belief alone has the power to change everything. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. Real effort, real intention, real consistency. You don't rise by being flawless. You rise by being faithful to the process, to your growth, to your next step. And that next step is always in reach, even if it's small. Speak into it, breathe into it, move into it. Because once you break the inertia, momentum becomes your ally. There is no magic formula. There is only choice. And the most powerful choice you can make is to act before you feel completely ready. That's how you build strength. That's how you separate from the old you. That's how you grow into the version of yourself that doesn't just dream, but builds. Decide now. Move now. Rise now. You're not waiting on life. Life is waiting on you. You are not here to live on repeat. You are here to rise, to outgrow, to break the patterns that no longer serve who you're becoming. Each day gives you a silent invitation to elevate your thoughts, your standards, your energy. But elevation isn't automatic. It's intentional. It begins when you stop negotiating with your excuses and start aligning with your highest self, the part of you that knows what's possible, the part of you that refuses to shrink just because comfort feels safer than change. The battle isn't out there, it's in your mind. And that's exactly where victory starts. You win by choosing thoughts that sharpen you, not soften you. You win by honoring discipline, not waiting for motivation. You win by remembering that progress isn't about speed, it's about direction. Even if the pace is slow, even if the steps feel small, forward is still forward. And forward is where your strength grows, It's easy to fall back into old patterns, to choose familiar over freedom, but comfort zones are cages dressed in convenience. They whisper, stay here, it's safe. But safety isn't the goal. Growth is, peace is, fulfillment is. And none of those are found in cycles that keep you stuck. You have to disrupt the pattern. You have to say, this isn't where I stay. Even if it's hard, even if it's messy. Because nothing changes until you change what you tolerate. Every time you rise above the urge to settle, you reclaim your power. Every time you refuse to give in to fear-based thinking, you expand your capacity. That's what transformation looks like. Not loud declarations, but quiet revolutions within. You start thinking different, speaking different, choosing different. And before long, you've built a new baseline, a new standard, a new identity. One that matches the life you actually want to live. You don't have to do everything at once. But you do have to stop pretending that doing nothing is okay. Because you were not born to blend in with your limits. You were born to stretch beyond them. And it starts with your mindset. What you believe, you become. What you speak, you attract. What you focus on, you strengthen. So focus on becoming unshakable. Speak from your future, not your fear. Believe in your ability to change, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. You are not your patterns. You are the power that can rewrite them. And every moment is a new opportunity to choose better. Better thoughts, better words, better actions. Don't underestimate the shift that begins when you stop asking, can I do this? And start declaring, I will. That's the energy that moves mountains. That's the focus that fuels change. That's the mindset that rebuilds a life from the inside out. Let it begin with you. Let it begin now. You are ready, not because everything is perfect, but because you finally decided to rise. Your mind believes what you repeatedly tell it. And if you keep feeding it the same doubt, the same fear, the same hesitation, it will start building a life around limitation. But when you change the script, you change the outcome. You don't rise by accident. You rise on purpose, by choosing the words that pull you forward, instead of the ones that hold you back. Every sentence you speak about yourself is either constructing your strength or reinforcing your struggle. So speak like your life depends on it, because it does. Say, I am in control of what I think. Say, I choose thoughts that empower me. Say, I don't chase peace, I create it from within. These words aren't just phrases, they're patterns, neural codes, habits in the making. Each one shapes how you see yourself, how you carry yourself, and how you respond to resistance. The language you use becomes the energy you live in. Speak with certainty, even when the world feels uncertain. Speak with vision, even when the outcome is unclear. Because the most powerful transformations begin before the results show up. They begin the moment you decide to believe in something greater than your fear. You've been quiet for too long, waiting for clarity, waiting for confidence, waiting to feel ready. But silence only gives space to your doubts. Now is the time to replace hesitation with declaration. Remind yourself daily, your thoughts are not permanent, your moods are not facts, and your past is not your destiny. Every morning you wake up is another vote for change, another moment to declare who you are and who you're becoming. Your words don't just describe your world, they direct it. They send signals to your brain about what to look for, what to act on, and what to expect. When you say, I am calm, I am focused, I am growing, you're not lying to yourself. You're choosing what to focus on. And focus fuels everything. The more you affirm your strength, the more you'll see it. The more you affirm your resilience, the more you'll feel it. It's not magic, it's mental alignment. And it starts with one decision, to stop being casual with the way you speak about your life. Don't water your fears with attention. Don't feed your insecurities with repetition. Every time you declare something negative about yourself, you reinforce the very thing you want to escape. So flip the pattern. Create a new narrative, one that supports you, lifts you, challenges you to grow. One that says, I'm not stuck, I'm evolving. I'm not lost, I'm learning. I'm not failing. I'm forming a stronger foundation. This is how change begins. Not with force, but with focus. Not with perfection, but with persistence. So speak it, every single day. Speak it until your thoughts align, until your actions align, until your life transforms to match the power of what you've been telling yourself all along. There is a strength within you that no one can give and no one can take away. It's not loud. It doesn't demand attention. But it's there, quiet, steady, waiting to be awakened by choice. Not the kind of choice that feels easy or convenient, but the kind that takes courage. The kind that says, I am no longer available for the version of me that plays small. The kind that rises even when it would be easier to wait, to wish, to blame. That strength gets stronger every time you act in alignment with who you're meant to be. Not who you've been trained to be, not who others expect you to be, but who your soul knows you are. You don't have to earn your worth. You were born with it, but life will challenge you to forget that truth. It will present people who doubt you, environments that deplete you, and moments that test you. And yet, inside those moments lies the greatest invitation you'll ever receive. The chance to remember who you are without the noise, without the judgment, without the comparison. Real power is not about proving yourself. It's about returning to yourself, owning your light, not dimming it to keep others comfortable. Standing in your values, even when it means standing alone. You weren't designed to live disconnected from your purpose. But purpose doesn't scream, it whispers, and you hear it most clearly when you get quiet enough to listen. It's that inner pull guiding you toward growth, toward truth, toward decisions that challenge your comfort but honor your calling. And if you've been feeling lost, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means you've outgrown the version of you that once fit. Let that be your proof that you're evolving. Let it fuel your fire to keep moving. Progress doesn't always look like winning. Sometimes it looks like walking away from what drains you. Sometimes it's setting boundaries that others won't understand. Sometimes it's getting back up when no one's watching. These are the unseen victories, the ones that shape your character, the ones that rebuild your inner world so the outer one can finally reflect it. You can't fake alignment, and you don't need to. Your path becomes clear when your actions match your truth, when you stop trying to be everything for everyone and start being fully, unapologetically you. Growth demands honesty. You must be willing to ask, what am I avoiding? What am I afraid of? What is no longer in alignment with the person I want to become? These questions may shake you, but they'll also free you. Because clarity is power, and with clarity, you begin to move different. You speak with intention. You choose with purpose. You build a life that feels real, not just impressive. That's the reward. Not approval, but peace. Not perfection, but presence. You're not here to repeat cycles. You're here to break them. You're not here to survive. You're here to rise. And that rise starts now, within you. Most people wait for permission to become who they already are. They wait for someone to validate their worth, confirm their path, or make it safe to choose themselves. But that safety never comes from the outside. It's built on the inside, through repeated choices to show up, speak truth, and stand firm, even when everything around you tries to shake that foundation. You are not here to be defined by fear or boxed in by the comfort of others. You are here to live in alignment with a deeper truth, a truth that says you are enough not when you get there, not when you're perfect, but right now, imperfect, growing, still learning, still becoming. This moment is your opportunity to stop shrinking to fit environments that no longer honor your energy. The people, the roles, the habits that once served a purpose don't always deserve a lifetime. You are allowed to let go of what doesn't match your future. You are allowed to evolve past the identity you outgrew. There is no loyalty in staying small for the sake of being liked. There is no freedom in constantly managing other people's expectations while burying your own voice. Real courage is giving yourself permission to be seen fully, not for who they want you to be, but for who you are when you're no longer performing. You don't need another reason to wait. You don't need another sign, another perfect plan, or another round of overthinking. What you need is a decision to no longer abandon yourself for approval, a decision to no longer tolerate what dims your light, a decision to trust that discomfort is not danger. It's the birthplace of real transformation. Yes, it's hard, but so is staying stuck, so is betraying your own intuition, so is silencing your truth just to make everyone else more comfortable. That's not peace, it's self-rejection. And you've done enough of that. Now is the time to build trust with yourself again, not through perfection, but through presence, through consistency, through honoring the commitments you make to yourself, even when no one is watching. Because your confidence doesn't come from being liked. It comes from knowing you didn't abandon yourself to fit into someone else's story. You chose your own. And that choice is your power. That choice is your anchor. That choice is the beginning of becoming someone who doesn't just survive, someone who leads themselves into the life they were always capable of living. The most powerful thing you can say each day is, I choose myself, not because I'm better than anyone else, but because I'm done waiting for permission to grow. I'm done apologizing for my light. I'm done keeping quiet when everything inside me is screaming to rise. Say it, feel it, own it. I choose myself. Not someday, not later, now. Because when you finally choose yourself without guilt, you become unstoppable. When you choose yourself, you disrupt every pattern that kept you silent, small, and second-guessing. You begin to move differently, not louder, but deeper, not faster, but clearer. There's a power that enters your life when you stop negotiating your worth and start living like it's non-negotiable. Because it is. Your voice is not a whisper by accident. It only feels quiet when it's been ignored. But once you start listening, once you start honoring it, that voice becomes your compass. You don't need to scream to be heard. You just need to believe what you're saying matters. Because it does. You matter. Not when you earn it. Not when you fix yourself. But always. There's something sacred about committing to yourself daily. Not as an idea, but as a discipline. As a promise that you don't break. Every time you follow through on the smallest thing, waking up early, saying no, speaking truth, you build evidence. Evidence that you can trust yourself, that your word means something, and that trust becomes your confidence. Not the loud surface kind, the deep, unshakable kind. The kind that doesn't need external permission to move. The kind that walks away when the energy feels wrong. The kind that says, I won't stay where I'm not respected, even if it's familiar. Especially if it's familiar. Growth doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like discipline. It feels like doing the hard thing when the easy way is calling your name. It feels like sitting with discomfort instead of distracting yourself from it. It feels like showing up when you'd rather disappear. The world tries to sell you shortcuts, but transformation doesn't come through hacks. It comes through intention. It comes through owning the parts of yourself you once denied, and choosing to stand in your wholeness anyway. You don't rise by becoming someone else. You rise by remembering who you've always been beneath the noise, the fear, the conditioning. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not lost. You are in a season of remembering, of rebuilding, of reclaiming your power without guilt. This is what alignment looks like. It's quiet, it's steady, and it's yours. You don't have to chase what you are. You just have to stop hiding it. Start living like your life depends on your honesty, because it does. Your peace, your clarity, your energy, all of it is tied to your truth. And the more you live from that place, the less you tolerate anything less. Every time you wake up and remind yourself who you are, you weaken the grip of everything that told you otherwise. You shift from surviving to leading, from doubting to deciding, from playing small to living full. That shift won't be comfortable, but it will be worth it. Because nothing is more powerful than a person who no longer needs to be chosen. They've already chosen themselves. That's your edge. That's your reminder. That's your power. And it's already inside you. The moment you stop abandoning yourself to be accepted, everything changes. Not gradually, but radically. The energy you once used to please, to shrink, to apologize for your existence returns home to you. It fuels your presence. It sharpens your awareness. It anchors your spirit. You become someone who doesn't just move through life. You move life. You influence the air around you by standing in your truth. And the world begins to respond differently, not because it changed, but because you did. There's a certain power that lives in those who finally understand they are not for everyone, and no longer care to be. That freedom, that release of performance, is the gateway to authenticity. The more you choose your alignment over approval, the more peace you invite into your life. You stop entertaining anything that feels heavy, forced, or draining. You stop negotiating with what doesn't feel right. You no longer ask for permission to protect your energy. You simply do it. And that shift creates a new standard, one where your boundaries are non-negotiable, your time is sacred, and your worth is self-sourced. Every day is an invitation to come back to yourself, to silence the noise and feel what's real, to stop outsourcing your value and remember that you were already born whole. You don't need to earn your place in this world. You're not here to prove yourself to people who refuse to see you. You're here to grow, to expand, to rise beyond the versions of yourself that were built out of fear. And the way you rise isn't by becoming perfect. It's by becoming real. It's by facing yourself with compassion and choosing to act from power instead of pain. When you show up for yourself, even in the smallest ways, you start to heal. Not just your mind, but your soul. That healing isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like walking away quietly. Sometimes it feels like saying less and holding more space for yourself. It means allowing your peace to become louder than your anxiety. It means choosing rest without guilt, saying no without explanation, loving without attachment. These are not weaknesses. They are signs of someone who has done the work to become rooted. The more you honor your evolution, the less you crave validation. You stop asking others to confirm what you already know within. You stop trying to be impressive and start being intentional. That's where the transformation lives, not in being liked, but in being aligned. You don't need to chase opportunities. You become one. You don't need to fit into rooms. You build your own. You don't need to be understood. You understand yourself, and that becomes enough. The world does not need a more diluted version of you. It needs the real you, the bold you, the grounded you, the version of you who knows who they are and refuses to apologize for it. That's not ego. That's evolution. That's clarity. And that is where everything you're seeking begins. You are not here to be invisible. You are not here to silence your own voice just to make others comfortable. There is something inside you that wants to be seen, that wants to be heard, not because it craves attention, but because it knows it matters. You've spent too long watering yourself down, dimming your own light to avoid being too much. But the truth is, you were never too much. You were just in rooms that asked you to be less, and now, it's time to stop asking for space and start claiming it. You were built to take up room. You were built to exist fully, not partially. Every time you hold back your truth, you abandon a part of yourself. And each time you do, you teach your heart that its voice doesn't matter. But your voice does matter. Your feelings matter. Your perspective matters. You don't have to shout. You don't have to demand. But you do have to stop hiding. Because the world doesn't benefit from your silence. It benefits from your authenticity. The more you trust your own voice, the less you need permission to use it. And the moment you decide to speak from your center, not your wounds, your words begin to carry weight, not just noise, but meaning. There is a quiet kind of power in speaking your truth without anger, in standing firm without the need to prove anything. You don't have to fight to be heard. You just have to stop shrinking to be accepted. When you speak from your soul, people feel it. Not everyone will agree. Not everyone will applaud. But that is not the point. The point is not approval. The point is alignment. And alignment means your outer world begins to reflect your inner truth. It means you walk through life grounded, steady, and clear. Owning your voice is an act of self-respect. It is a declaration that your story matters, that your experiences count, that your emotions are not too loud, too sensitive, or too complicated. They are human. And you are allowed to be fully human. You are allowed to feel deeply and still be strong. You are allowed to speak firmly and still be kind. You are allowed to be both soft and powerful. That duality is not a flaw, it's your edge. When you begin to trust your voice, you begin to trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, you stop looking to others for constant direction. You become your own compass. You become the calm in your own storm. You stop outsourcing your identity and start reclaiming your wholeness. That kind of self-trust doesn't come from knowing all the answers. It comes from being willing to stand in your truth even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. You were not meant to echo the world. You were meant to express what's real. So speak like your voice matters, because it does. Speak like your life depends on it, because it does.